So, Nomso, what does gender disinformation mean to you?
Yeah, so as two words in that phrase suggests, first of all is gender, the state of being, and in this case we're focusing on female. Disinformation is whatever distorts information or is an outright lie or creates a change of perception or leading people into thinking a certain way. So for me, gender disinformation is harmful stereotypes, harmful biases, you know, blatant untruths about women that can impact how they are perceived, what happens to their reputation. And of course, when a person attacks your reputation, there's nothing left because it's the reputation that we have that helps our businesses, that helps us in employment, our standing in community, our standing in families. So it is very harmful. For every time a person's character is broken down,
Mm-hmm.
the chances of building it up, what they usually say, it takes a day, like it takes many years to build a cathedral, and it just
Mm-hmm.
takes one day to knock it down. And when that is knocked down of a woman, it takes many years to repair, and in some cases, may never be repaired at all. So for me, I think it's something that has to be taken very seriously because of the economic disempowerment that comes with this issue.
Yes, that's very true. And what do you think is one of the major misconceptions that people don't, you think that they don't still get it right when it comes to gender disinformation, like something that you would like to shed more light on in terms of awareness?
In terms of awareness, I feel like people mask this disinformation under, say, culture. I'll use culture as an example. There are buzzwords that are put out there. Oh, you know how women think. You know how
Mm-hmm.
hysterical women can get. And I'm Nigerian. For
Yes.
example, you hear things like, oh, it's a woman driver, so you can't expect a lot.
Oh,
So yes.
I've personally seen that a lot.
Yeah, so it becomes part of the narrative. It becomes like part of local lingo. Oh, she's a woman, or she's pregnant, so it's assumed that she's hysterical, she's not thinking straight. And so some of the misconceptions that happen is it becomes part of everyday language, and people don't realize the harm that it's doing, how much it is disempowering people. So what I think is that the biggest piece is there's a lack of information around it, there's a lack of awareness, and people have normalized thinking in these lines. And by normalizing it, we are actually lending a hand to the problem, including women as well. It's not just men who
Yes.
are thinking
Yes.
this way.
And I think that's something that we should be more like sad about, because if women ourselves don't uplift women, I think that's what we do first before putting forth our case to the other gender, right? So, how do you think that like people in general who have, like you say, they lack awareness and information. So when they lack awareness or information, what steps do you think they can take? If not to be immediately on our supportive side, at least from that extreme, getting to the neutral place where, okay, let me get rid of the stereotypes, let me see what people are for what they actually are, rather than having the preconceived notions in my head. What
Yeah,
steps do you think they can get?
I think people need to be very intentional. And of course, that comes with this awareness that is being created. As people begin to see more and more of these conversations being brought to them, the next step is to be intentional about getting educated. There's so many resources online. I mean, there's AI that's helping now. Type in the prompts, and you get all of the information and the links to research the statistics. And there are YouTube videos by authoritative sources that also provide more information about this. There's the UN, and just going onto the UN website, there are massive resources that are available to seal that gap. And I think also people that are in positions of influence, it's a responsibility to also communicate it to people in the various communities or spheres of influence. And for educators, I think also starting at the grassroots, starting at elementary school level, and
Yeah.
ensuring that children begin to internalize these things and understand what's normal, what's not normal, what's our societal expectations, what are moral expectations also, because it's all rooted in kindness. And the absence of that kindness is what allows people to act in certain ways. So, to answer your questions, what steps people should take is to be intentional about seeking. For every time you don't know about a thing or a topic, it's your personal responsibility to go searching for the information. And there's LinkedIn Learning, there are all kinds, and there are open source, resources that you don't even have to pay for. Information is everywhere, you just have to seek it.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned the word intentional because a lot of us out there, like when you say, like, it's almost a part of our day-to-day living, right? When you say, oh, of course, it's a woman driver, she doesn't know how to drive. So I think we, without realizing ourselves, we just succumb to such stereotypes. I love how you said be intentional. And I also liked what you talked about, like starting early with the kids. How do you think, like socially, or just because of cultural background, or especially women in like entrepreneurial roles, how do you think they're more targeted? Like, what would your piece of advice be for people there?
Okay, because it's disinformation,
Mm-hmm.
and going back to that word intentional, the perpetrators are intentionally weaponizing, reputation, weaponizing competence. So for a woman in business or a woman in any kind of leadership, in workplaces and workspaces, so it's targeted at women to silence women, and that silencing happens more so at the higher levels, because if you if a person is able to succeed with silencing someone at a position that empowers other people, then it's going to be a domino effect of silenced women. That is
Mm,
why this topic is so critical, because if you have someone who's in a position that's leading, say, 1,000 women, if you successfully silence that one person, you did not silence one, but you silenced 1,001, right?
mm-hmm.
And it's been the historic reason, or it's been the historic, trajectory of seeing as women are rising in workplaces, in politics, across all sectors in technology and all that. And women are moving into all of these spaces as we should. But for every time that voice is silenced, we're not going to see more people in the places that we need to be, across the world.
So you being in a leadership position yourself, so how would you react in such a case? Like, what's your best go-to when someone's being, spreading false information or they're trying to put you down? Like, what would you suggest or advise similar women there out
Okay,
there?
because thank you. Because we're talking about digital spaces, there should be governance across those digital platforms.
Yes, that's good.
So what I would do is to go to the authorities, or whatever authority represents for that specific platform. If it means writing to Instagram, if it means writing to LinkedIn, and of course the actual local authorities, the police, and depending on but again, because I was going to say depending on the impacts, but with what the UN is saying, we don't even need to allow it become a massive problem, because it's the little problems that build up. So for every time it happens, we need to act on it. Some people say don't kill an ant with a sledgehammer. No, that little ant is atomic, it's compounding. When you have tiny little problems spreading, it becomes an entire virus that's, when you look at how it's impacting women from all over the globe. So using myself as a case study, if I had somebody try to attack my character online, I will go, I will attack the person, not as per altercation one-on-one, but I will go through the platform authorities. And I will also, if I need to raise awareness about that topic, and in fact, we should raise awareness for every time things like that happen, we need to call it out. I think bad things happen in silence. Bad things happen when you cover them up. So naming the problem, shaming the problem, because people don't have those bullies and those trolls have no problem with shaming a person. So we need to push back and return that shame to the person who the shame belongs to, and the shame belongs to the perpetrator and not to the victim. Victim blaming must absolutely stop.
Yes, that's very true.